Please be seated. On this pleasant evening, it gives me an year and curtain raiser event for 16th Technological Innovations Conference and Exposition and the 9th Engineering Excellence Awards. We are also delighted to commemorate TEF's 26th year of service, standing as a pioneering technical association in Kuwait that continuously upheld its tradition of hosting world-class technical conferences. Of TEF's legacy and achievement in organizing first ever Technological Innovations Conference and Exposition in Kuwait in the year 2010. This globally acclaimed event continues to be a vital platform for presenting cutting-edge technologies and solutions from across the world. In our commitment to social contribution and community support for the development of engineering and technology in Kuwait, in 2016, we took a further step towards recognizing excellence by initiating the Engineering Excellence Awards, acknowledging the outstanding contributions of young leaders, technologists, and researchers across various fields within Kuwait. With an expected participation of over 750 industrial professionals, the 16th TIES and 9th EEA will take place on Thursday, 9th October 2025 at Hotel Crown Plaza, Kuwait. We sincerely invite all of you.
Sponsors of today's event, Growth USA and their local partner, KMMC Kuwait. Also, we thank our presenting sponsor, KMMC Golden Palm and Nouri. We thank our platinum sponsors, SATCO, KUF, TransW, Aldora, and Al Arfraj Engineering. We also thank our gold sponsors, ACME Petroleum Services Company, AGTC, Burgan Bank, Almulla Exchange, Eagle Bergman, and Mahata Trading. Finally, we thank our silver sponsors, EDAC, GTC, Gulfspeak, Oldtech, and Saravana. We are all Shifa Al Jazeera Fahil is joining us as our official health partner for our TEF 2025 events. To our valued TEF members, it is with considerable satisfaction that I announce TEF maintains its position as the region's only ISO certified non-profit professional organization. TEF is committed to the execution of all programs with highest degree of professionalism, and we consistently prioritize the safety and security of our membership and collaborative partners. In this regard, I recommend for the day.
Good evening, all of you. The primary objective of the safety movement is to ensure the well-being of all the individuals attending our third technical seminar. Before we get started, I would like to take a couple of minutes to share some safety information. First and foremost, I would like to ask everyone to take a moment to carefully identify the emergency exits in this hall. In case of an emergency, it is crucial to know the quickest and safest routes for evacuation. The emergency exits are clearly marked with signs to your left, and there are both primary and secondary exits located throughout the space. In the event of evacuation, please remain calm and follow the instructions of the emergency personnel. Top priority, and having a clear understanding of the emergency exits is an important first step in ensuring a safe and swift response. Kindly watch your steps, especially in and around the corners where the chairs are placed. In case of emergency, a first aid box is available with the committee to provide immediate medical assistance. As we kick off this curtain riser and need technical excellence and innovation, let's remember, no matter how advanced our solutions, how complex our discussions, safety remains our most fundamental protocol. Let's ensure every technical breakthrough is backed by a commitment to safe practices, because true progress is always built on foundational. Now please take a moment to watch the safety moment of the day video, which talks about an important issue. Thank you all for your attention.
Thank you, Engineer Rajanarayanan.
On behalf of TEF, we would like to welcome our guest of honor, Mr. Saleh Al-Jetli. I would request our president to invite our guest of honor with a bouquet. Thank you, sir. As a proud Tefian, we uphold the tradition of sharing a Kural from Thirukural, the sacred text of Tamilians and the timeless wisdom of Tamil literature in all our programs. I invite Engineer Suresh Anand to share today's Thirukural.
Good evening, everyone. The Kural of the day is from the Adhigaram, Arivudamai, Kural Yen 424. En பொருளவாக செலச் சொல்லி தான் பிறர்வாய் நுண்பொருள் காண்பதறிவு. விளக்கம். சிறந்த அறிவு என்பது நாம் சொல்ல வேண்டியவைகளை எளிய முறையில் கேட்போரின் இதயத்தில் பதியுமாறு சொல்லி பிறர் சொல்லும் நுட்பமான கருத்துக்களையும் ஆராய்ந்து தெளிவதே ஆகும். Translation. True knowledge is to express thoughts clearly with meaningful words and to discern subtle truths from the words of others. The poet Valluva highlights two key aspects of intelligence in this verse: the ability to communicate effectively and the capacity to understand deeper meanings. The wise person articulates their ideas in a way that is purposeful and easy to grasp, while also possessing the insight to extract profound or subtle truths from what others say. It underscores both eloquence and perceptive listening as hallmarks of true wisdom. Thank you.
Thank you, Engineer Suresh Anand. Today, we have an amazing lineup of informative sessions for you this evening, followed by the much-awaited curtain raiser for TIES and EEA. We are starting this evening with our first technical presentation on industrial water cycles and hatch online equipment by Mr. Konstantin Makarov, MEA Process Product Manager from Mrs. Hack. Following this, we'll technical presentation on role of overpressure protection devices in process optimization by Mr. Irfan Sheikh, Managing Director, Groth and CDC, and Mr. Nirav Vadgama. On behalf of Tamil Nadu Engineers Forum, I extend a warm welcome to our distinguished speakers.
Now it's time for formal welcome address. I call upon Engineer Middleton to deliver the welcome address.
And a deep of sense of pride that I extend a warm welcome to each of you. On behalf of TEF 2025 committee, to the third technical seminar and curtain raiser event for the 16th TIES and 9th Engineering Excellence Awards. We begin by expressing our sincere gratitude to our distinguished speaker, Mr. Konstantin Makarov, MEA Product Manager, Hatch USA, and Mr. Irfan Sheikh, Managing Director, Groth and CDC Corporation, USA. Your presence here and the invaluable knowledge you bring are deeply appreciated. We are truly honored to have you with us. We are also privileged to welcome our distinguished special guest and keynote speaker, Mr. Salem Al-Ajmi, CEO, Jetli, Manager, Technical Services, MAA Refinery. Mr. Ahmed Ismail Ali Muhammad Dasti, Manager, Maintenance, MAA Refinery, and Mr. Saba Al-Shamari, Director, Golden Palm. We thank you all for gracing this occasion with your wealth of expertise. A warm welcome is also extended to all participants from the TEF community as well as non-TEF members and our valued sponsors. Your presence here reflects a shared commitment to continuous learning, collaboration, and engineering excellence. Once again, I welcome you all. Let us make the most of this opportunity to engage, learn, and grow together. We look forward to an insightful and inspiring session ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Engineer Middleton, for your earnest welcome address. Now let us move on to the technical session. I request Engineer Maniarasu to share the credentials of Mr. Constantine.
USA. He preliminarily specializes to provide solutions to customers for analyzing their water efficiently and effectively. Having a reliable analytical data is critical for making decisions to ensure compliance to regulations, improve quality and efficiency. He has over 15 years of experience. Engineer Konstantin Makarov earned a master's degree in organic chemistry and engineering degree in chemical technology from Perm State Technical University, Russia. He has been associated with Ms. Hatch since early 2015. On behalf of TEP, we would like to invite Mr. Konstantin Makarov on stage to help us to understand the latest development regarding the water analysis. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon. No, it's already good evening, right? Good evening. And dobry вечер. That's a good evening in Russian. I will try to, all right. Okay, while I will be doing with that would be about the industrial water cycles and the online equipment, all type of equipment what we have at HAC to monitor the quality of water. Before we go, for you who sit in by the tables, you have this small form which you can put your comments, your questions, and later after the session we can discuss them. There is a form with the HAC site. So please use it. All right, so let me check. All right, okay, it works. So as I mentioned, today's session is about the industrial water cycles and what we as HAC can help you with your daily challenges when it comes to the water quality treatment and monitoring. I will skip this slide. I will only mention that my job at HAC is to suggest and to advise the most suitable online equipment for the water quality monitoring. And I'm doing this, as was mentioned, since 2015 with our company. So the quick agenda for today is very shortly about HAC, overview of the water cycles. We go deeper for the water pretreatment, steam cycle, cooling water, integrated solution, or what we call the SWAS panels, wastewater, and then we will maybe have some time left for the Q&A. Very briefly about HAC. HAC company is almost 90 years on the market. Historically, we are the experts with the full water cycle. Right, I like that. The lights the lights has come back. That's great. Should we wait for the screen so I can proceed with this one? All right, I will proceed with this one until those works. So the HAC company is world famous for the equipment for the water quality, for the clean water applications such as the drinking water, processed water, and the wastewater and the water reuse. Through the years, we've been acquiring different type of companies, normally the leading companies with the equipment for the water quality on the market. What type of equipment we have is the lab equipment and the online equipment. All type of the equipment is for the certain type of parameters to be measured. I will be focusing today more on the online equipment. As you can see, what we have. Sure. As you can see what we have in terms of the online equipment, there are different types. There are TOC analyzers, there are heavy metal analyzers, hardness, alkalinity, chlorine, all type of the disinfection, turbidity, different type of turbidity for the different type of water. We have lots of these suspended solids instruments, obviously dissolved oxygen. Do you want to say it out loud? Yeah, you can. Sure. Okay. Yeah, but without slides, there is a bit difficult to do anything. All right. Okay, until the speakers will start keep working, I will try to use my voice. I hope that would be enough. That's a great acoustic in this, yeah, in this place. All right. So let's talk about the water cycles, and I will be specifically talking about the water cycles in terms of the power generation first, and then eventually we will arrive to the wastewater. Okay. So then you think about the power generation. The first is the water source. The water, everything starts with the water source. Be the well water, would it be the source water, river water, municipal water, anything considered as a source. Source water goes through the water pretreatment. Normally it's a demineralization plant. Demineralization can be done by reverse osmosis, exchange, deionization. There are many different techniques how to make it. Once the water from the desalination parts is ready, it's a ultra pure water. Normally then it goes for the steam generation. Steam cycle. Once the steam was used for the turbine to produce the electricity, then it falls back as a condensate, and it requires the cooling. That's why it calls the cooling water cycle. After the cooling water cycle, the product of all of that is the wastewater. As you can see, all those cycles are connected, and normally at first they are measured through the lab. So the lab measurements are crucial, are important, and they are the arbitrage. It means that the lab measurements are first. But all those, all right, okay. The lab measurements are first, but many of the lab methods nowadays are converted into the online equipment, which makes the life much easier. It means that you can control in lab, but also you can control the process. You can control it quicker in terms of the safety and the cost optimization. So let's look closely at the source stage, turbidity, oil in water, TOC, alkalinity, hardness could be measured at this point. There are top 5 instruments for that reason. We have the pH meter, the oil in water sensor, FP360. We have the seawater turbidimeter. That's only one turbidimeter on the market which is capable to work with the seawater because it's resistant to this total 65 grams. We also have the conductivity probes, inductive and conducting, and we have different type of the chlorine measurement. Chlorine measurement, normally chlorine is used for the source water oxidation to remove all the organics. So one of the common processes to purify the water is reverse osmosis. I believe you're all experts in reverse osmosis, so I will keep this picture very, very easy. Reverse osmosis has such a parameters before the feed enters arrow. That's normally would be pH, conductivity, turbidity. Turbidity has to be less than 1 NTU. That's the ideal quality of the feed to arrow. Also dependent on a source water. For example, it's a well water. Would be important to measure hardness and alkalinity because there are lots of hardness from the water which comes from the well. Then the process itself, it has 2 products. The permeate, which you also measure with the conductivity and evaluate the removal of the solids, and the concentrate or reject, which you also measure with the conductivity to evaluate how many solids have been removed. That brings us to the instruments. What to measure? First, and one of the most important ones is a pH probe. We have the range of the pH probes. I will arrive to that later. Just want to visualize what kind of we have you see in front of you. Next. Okay, I will now. Should we? Because this, yes, thank you. So I will focus now on those screens. So this pH sensor, for those of you who maintain the pH sensors, you know that they very frequently they go out of service. And what you need to replace is the salt bridge. What we have come up with is the pH sensor, which you can only replace the salt bridge and the buffer solution and put it back into the process. We will not ask you to replace the whole the spare parts, which is replaceable and always available for the order. This pH sensor also is different because it has not only 2 electrodes inside, it has 3 electrodes inside, which help us to reduce the current junction and polymerization of the electrode. The conductivity probe, very common to use it for the RO to measuring the TDS of the feed, permeate, and concentrate. If you have all 3 measurements, as you can see on the screen, you can calculate the percentage of the salt passage and the salt rejection. That was on the market probably for the couple of years. We have come up with the new way of measuring turbidity. Turbidity normally measured at the angle of 90 and expressed in the NTU. The value is called NTU, which stands for the nephelometric turbidity units. So what we have come up with, now we measure turbidity not only at the angle of 90, we measure it at the angle of 360 by 90. Why did we do this? It's only because we want to provide you the more quicker measurement of turbidity. We want to let you be able to measure very tiny particulate in the very clean water applications such as the ultra pure water, drinking water. This is now how to measure turbidity in the most accurate way, in the most precise way. As you can see, our limit of detection is very, very low, so it's a very common instrument for the drinking water. The beauty of this method, of this technology, is that very same technology is used for the lab instrument and for the online instrument. It means that the values in lab and the online will always match, which is very good for the operating the pre-treatment process. Also, what we have, the next instrument is to help you to measure the residual chlorine. Then it comes to reverse osmosis. Very important is the next thing. As you can see, there is a study which tells us that to protect the membranes of your reverse osmosis, you need to keep the residual or active chlorine below 38 ppb. ppb is very, very small amount. I will give you an example. 1 ppm is 1000 ppb. And 1 ppb, if you convert it into the time, it's 1 in 32 years. This is how low this value is. And with this instrument, which I was showing you before, we're able to help you to detect 38 ppb of residual chlorine, which is the recommended value to have your membranes protected and have the longer shelf life, at least by the warranty of the 5 years. So what this instrument does, it shows you the value of chlorine. It also have the flow meter, and then the third important parameter is the chlorine exposure. Chlorine exposure through the hours. This is how you can evaluate how damageable your feed with the residual chlorine, which goes to reverse osmosis. Let's talk about what are they have for the water purification. Besides reverse osmosis, there is also ion exchange process. Ion exchange process can be combined into one mixed bed, but also it can go with the very classical cationic, anionic, and a mixed bed way. In this case, after every type of resin, there is a certain parameter. After the cationic resin, when we remove all the cations, we need to measure conductivity. And So it helps us to differentiate the conductivity between cation conductivity. The rest of conductivities, which is the alkalizing conductivity and the CO2 conductivity, will be calculated. We have the pH measurement. You can measure pH by the probe, but also you can measure pH, you can calculate pH standing from the conductivity measurements. Why would you do that? Sometimes then the conductivity levels are very, very low in the saturated steam, for example. To be very accurate, sometimes the pH probe, the sensitivity of pH probe might not be enough. In this case, we can help you to calculate pH even more accurate than the judgment. Very quick, just for some of you maybe looking for this kind of a solution, we are able to measure gases in a chemical substance. That would be done with the instrument called Orbisphere. And if you look at instruments in the not aqueous liquids, that would be toluene, styrene, methanol, benzene. In this kind of liquids, we can measure, for example, remaining dissolved oxygen. If you have any challenges with this, let's take it offline. Also very common to measure sodium. Sodium should be measured after the ion exchange process. Also through the steam cycle, if you measure sodium, that would be the first and a very quick reflection if there are any leakages are happening at this very moment. Next up, and very probably one of the crucial ones, is to measure silica. Silica should be measured through the steam cycle because the most expensive equipment is a turbine itself. So you need to prevent any accumulation of the silica on the plates of turbine. Because if there are any accumulation of the but you can prevent it and reduce it, that will increase the efficiency of the turbine itself. So for that reason, we have the instrument which measures silica. It measures silica for one measurement, it takes 9.5 minutes. It can be a multi-channel instrument, so you can basically introduce this instrument into your SWAS, next to your SWAS panel, and measure 6 samples, one after another. On top of that, if you do the measurement of any phosphates, if you do add phosphates to your steam cycle to normalize pH, to gather the solids, we have the separate instrument which measures phosphates. Another very common topic is the iron transport. If you have the corrosion in your system, it means that there is iron in dissolved form, but also in the particulate form. The particulate form we can detect in 2 ways. We can measure iron directly, or we can use the turbidimeter, which I showed you just a few slides before, TU5, and this iron transport will be considered as a particulate or turbidity. The small, tiny particles will be measured as turbidity. And we can, in a surrogate way, we can measure the iron transport, because we expect nothing else except the iron particulate in the cooling system. That's how you can use 2 different methods for one purpose. Here is a summary in terms of the equipment, lab equipment and the online equipment. You see the number of parameters to be measured and a different type of the samples. That would be deionizate water or the demineralizate water, the condensate, boiler, and the steam. So for all of those, the solution to measure the quality. All right? Is it coming, or do you see the slides in front of you? Okay, if you go lower. All right. Meanwhile, we all cycle, we will arrive to the wastewater. Before we do that, may I ask, then it comes to the steam cycle. What do you measure right now? What parameters do you measure? Any? Please raise the hand, just answer if that's okay. pH conductivity, all right. Anything else? Silica, okay, good. Anything else? Hydrazine. You add hydrazine to cover the oxygen, if I'm not mistaken, right? So for the hydrazine, we also even have this specific hydrazine measurement just for the dosing of enough hydrazine. But you can go from two angles. You can measure the residual oxygen to understand the residual amount and then dose enough hydrazine. Or you can measure the hydrazine directly to know how much to dose. So shall we try again? Okay, good, thank you. Thank you for fixing this. So the cooling water. The cooling water has what we call the triangle, the cooling water triangle. The triangle describes the corrosion, deposition, and the biofilm should be monitored. All of that should be controlled. There are different techniques how to do it, but there is a one which describes all of that. It calls LSI, Langelier Saturation Index. Does anyone measure that? You, sir. You don't, any others? LSI? So I will just very briefly explain what the LSI says. If you use any antiscalant for your cooling water, I would strongly recommend to measure LSI, because LSI can give you the idea what is happening inside the pipe or inside the surface of the cooling tower. Is it a deposition or it's a corrosion environment? So how does it measure? To measure LSI, you need to measure the calcium hardness, total alkalinity, pH, conductivity, and the temperature. All of that, as you can see on the slide, measured by the separate sensors and the analyzer. And eventually, all of that arrives into the controller, which has the formula of LSI already pre-installed, and then this formula goes as a measurement to your PLC system. Based on this measurement, you can automatically dose the antiscalants. That's the benefit of having it. There are different sets of the instrument to cover the LSI. I will not stop very long to this. One specific instrument we have, it calls Easy ATP. This one used for the measurement of the microbiological growth. If you add in any biocides to prevent the microbiological growth, you can use this instrument, which will give you the overall biological growth, any type of bacteria which will be detected as a living bacteria or the dead bacteria will be expressed through the ATP. ATP stands for the adenosine triphosphate. Adenosine triphosphate, this is something what every living cell has, and once it's died, the ATP goes lower. It means that if you add biocides, the bacteria dies, the ATP goes lower. This is how it normally works. For the TOC, total organic carbon, we have the instrument called Biotector. It has a range of the configuration, but it works with the clean water for the condensate return and the steam cycle, but it also works for the wastewater. This instrument measures TOC, total organic carbon, but expressed results in COD and BOD. So in one instrument, you receive the measurement of total organic carbon, chemical oxygen demand, and biological oxygen demand in one instrument. And it performs the measurement by 6.5 minutes versus 2 hours for COD in lab and 5 days for BOD in lab. Very common application for TOC would be the condensate return. If you have any heat exchanger process where the cooling liquid is the organic one, if there are any breakthrough, you can detect it through the TOC, or if the steam which is used gets in contact, it will bring back the organics from this contact. So that's how we can protect your boiler assets against the organics in the system. Integrated solutions. Integrated solution means that we have what we all call the SWAS panels. The SWAS panels means there is a sample pretreatment to reduce the pressure and temperature, and then the necessary equipment which is added, would it be pH, conductivity, would it, someone mentioned silica. Yeah, that's exactly the panel which we are able to supply as a full solution. Now we have arrived to the wastewater treatment plant. I will start with this slide. Again, this is what I would always say, this is a full menu. You see how many parameters could be measured at the very classical biological treatment, wastewater treatment plant. There are so many parameters at every point. Do you need to measure all of them? No. It really depends on what type of the wastewater you have in. What is your daily challenge? Access of organics? Do you have access of nutrients? Do you have access of phosphates? Depending on all of that, the treatment process which you have back to your plants is differentiated from another one. So here is the full menu of all the parameters to be measured. I would just say it comes to the wastewater treatment plant. Very important to know what is coming to the wastewater and what kind of the water quality is leaving the treatment plant. In between, the heart of the process would be the aeration tank. The aeration tank, very important to measure pH and dissolved oxygen. So that should be the bare minimum to have. Everything else, such as the ammonia, phosphates, alkalinity, TSS, sludge level, that's optional. But it can really help and really improve treatment process and reduce your operational costs. So let's look closely what we can measure nowadays with our equipment. The very first one and very recent this sensor which we introduced to the market is the H2S sensor. H2S is an issue for most of the treatment plants. H2S, we have the separate sensor, electrochemical, microelectrochemical sensor, which measures H2S in two phases. In a liquid phase, if you immerse the sensor into the wastewater, or in a gas phase. As you can see from this slide, the very in the very left corner, you see that the sensor is not immersed into the water. For example, if you put the sensor on the mountain into the manhole, and it does not reach the level of the flow of the wastewater, it will be measuring H2S in the air. We'll be measuring separately only H2S, which is accumulating inside the manhole. If you insert it into the water, it will do the same job, but in a liquid. There is a specification for the sensor. I will not stop that long, just to save the time, but I will just tell you that H2S, we can measure up to 5 ppm. In the air, we can measure up to 1,000. So it can really help to optimize not only the safety environment inside the manhole, but also in the open tanks. The next step, very important. I always say this type of is not appreciated enough. This calls autosampler. Autosampler is something which bridges lab and the online measurement. Autosampler is meant to collect the sample. For example, if we're talking about wastewater, it collects the samples of the wastewater, incoming wastewater or treated wastewater, and also preserves it before these samples goes to the lab for the measurement in lab. So this instrument can automatically collect the sample in the very certain volume by the certain time which you will tell to the instrument to do. So for example, you see this one. Okay, I don't think it's all right. So you see the white Sigma 950. That's the most common instrument for Middle East. It's all-weather type outdoor stationary one autosampler. It can help you to collect up to 24 liters by 24 bottles separately. What I would suggest to do, if you consider to have autosampler, you should use it fully. What it means, you can, the autosampler, you can program it to take the sample on the spot. You can program it to take the sample by the certain time. For example, if you have 24 hours running plant, it means that most likely you have 3 shifts by 8 hours. So you can collect the samples every 8 hours or every 6 hours. Also, you can collect the sample depending on the flow or the volume. It's very, very smart machine to collect the right amount of samples to measure for the measurement in lab. In this, on this slide, you see the sample, the autosampler to whom we attach the pH probe. Why did we do this? If the wastewater comes with as an accident, with very acidic pH, it means there was some spill of chemicals into the wastewater. The pH sensor will be measuring this acidic pH, and the autosampler will collect the sample, the volume of this acidic wastewater as a separate volume. And again, will help the lab people to do the measurement later. What else we have? We have the full range of pH probes. We have the full range of the conductivity probes. If you have any challenges with your current one, please let's take it offline. Most importantly, we start talking about the TOC analyzer. TOC analyzer. Measuring organics is crucial for the wastewater treatment process. It will give you the picture what is the amount of organics that come in for the treatment, how well the treatment process go through the whole treatment plant, and what is the quality which is leaving the treatment plant. All of that you can measure with organics. Organics, it's not that easy. I would say there is no such one parameter to measure organics. There are at least 4 different angles. First angle is a TOC, total organic carbon. COD, very common, we all know, we all operate with the COD, been doing this for decades. Another one is a BOD, biological oxygen demand. Normally measured just to understand, are we aerating enough our biology or not? And on top of that, there is one more parameter called SAC, which stands for the spectral absorption coefficient. All 4 of them is the way to analyze the organics in the wastewater. Very common to use the COD and BOD in lab. There is established procedure and methods to do it. But to be able to measure those parameters online, what we suggest with our equipment is to measure TOC and correlate COD and BOD from measurement of TOC. Because TOC takes only 6.5 minutes versus the lab measurement of COD and BOD. As you can see on this slide, the BOD takes 5 days. COD takes roughly 2 hours only for digestion of the probe, and then the measurement. But TOC can be measured in 6.5 minutes. This all be done with this instrument called Biotector. You see there are different type of configuration. The small cabinet, that's for the clean water. By clean water, I mean everything from the ultra pure water down to the treated wastewater, effluent. All of that we can measure with the small cabinet with the range up to 1000 pp. The bigger cabinet, B7000i, that's the instrument meant to cover all the measuring points at the wastewater treatment plant. It means by one instrument you can measure up to 6 channels based after first sedimentation, after aeration, after secondary sedimentation, and for example the effluent. All of that can be measured by one multi-channel instrument. We also can configure this instrument with the total nitrogen and total phosphorus, which will help to manage the ratio between carbon, nitrogen, and phosphorus. Every wastewater plant managers, I believe here, knows that what is this ratio, and this ratio is established for your specific wastewater. So we can help you to monitor this just to make sure that the ratio is maintained and the data is provided online. Very quickly about the TOC analyzers. All the TOC analyzers do all of them, including our Biotector. They all do the same job in the very same order. First is a sampling. Sampling is very important. I will give you the one spoiler. All of the TOC analyzers require filtration, normally require filtration. It means that you will filter in a good day at least half of your organics which you're supposed to measure. If you don't filter, you clog the sampling tubings, it will affect the measurement itself. So that's very important. With Biotector, with our TOC analyzer, we do not require filtration of the probe. That's the very first good point. It means that we will analyze all the organics present in the sample and provide you the true value of TOC. Next stage is the TSC removal. All inorganic carbon, which is normally removed by smudging. That's the stage, again, very common for all the manufacturers. Then the oxidation part. Oxidation, that's the heart of the process. The way how you oxidize your sample, it actually allows you to oxidize it fully or partially, and again, it will reflect in the accuracy of measurement. And then the measurement itself. All the oxidation works in the same way. They oxidize the sample to the CO2 as a gas, and then it's and then it's detected by the infrared detector. I will stop again only because of the time limits. I will stop only on the technology we have. So for our instrument, we use two reagents, acid and base. We use base to produce OH radical, which you see in the middle of the chamber, mixer reactor. This OH radical is basically the hydroxyl radical which we get from the base, from the sodium hydroxide. And by using the oxygen, which is converted to ozone through the ozone generator, we convert this OH minus anion into the OH radical. That's the most powerful oxidation agent to be used for the organics to be oxidized. Even though it's the most powerful one, we know that will be remaining part of the organics which calls oxalates, which needs to be more oxidized. That's why we call it the second stage of oxidation, where we use the acid, the sulfuric acid with the manganese catalyst. As I was saying, you see there is a list of the oxidation agent. If some of you knows what's the COD, if you have been performing COD measurement, you know that the dichromate, which you see almost on the bottom of the table, the dichromate used to be considered as the most powerful oxidation, which been used in lab. Nowadays, you see the hydroxyl radical, which we use in our system, it's almost 2 times more powerful than the classical dichromate method. So you should be sure that all the organics in the sample will be oxidized. This is the slide of explaining the 2-stage advanced oxidation. I will probably skip this one. The most important, that's the picture you will see in front of you from the analyzer. The first stage, first 120 seconds will be to remove all inorganic carbon. The remaining time of 240 seconds will be to oxidize TOC. These graphs you will see from the analyzer itself, and the value will be sent to a PLC system. Most importantly, once this is all done, we still have remaining roughly 60 seconds to perform the full backwash of the system inside the analyzer. It will not perform the next measurement until it fully washes the sampling tubes and the mixer reactor. That's very, very good in terms of the maintenance and reducing the operational cost to maintain the analyzer. That's what I was saying. Again, I want to point this out. We do not require filtration of the probe. That's very important. It means that we provide the true oxidation of the full amount of organics inside the sample. Again, that's the full range of the biodetector. All right, okay, good. So the next step is the oil in water sensor. I want to take some time to very quickly explain how it works. This sensor detects only PAH, which stands for the polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. It means that this PAH, aromatic hydrocarbons, normally expressed as a mineral oil. So what we measure first is PAH, but we express result in a very common parameter such as oil in water. We can go up to 15 ppm. It's very wide range. So that's a very common instrument, for example, for many desalination plants in Middle East, where we check in the oil and water of the seawater, which goes to the water pretreatment. So this is how you can protect your membranes in a very early stage and not allowed any oil contamination to arrive as a feed to your RO and damage the membranes. So that's that's the size of the sensor. You also be able to install it through the flow-through cell. The next step is the sedimentation tank. So the FP360 is, as the oil in water, is also applicable not only for the desalination plant, but also for the wastewater plant. Yes. The next step would be the suspended solids. For that reason, we have the instrument called Solitax. That's a unique probe. It measures 2 parameters in one. It measures turbidity, but if you switch from the transmitter to the mode of suspended solids, it will start to express results in the ppm of suspended solids. Or you can go back to the NTU of turbidimeters. These instruments are normally used for the MLSS in your aeration tank. You can also measure the amount of suspended solids in your WAS and RAS. WAS stands for the waste activated sludge, and RAS for the return activated sludge. Also, another very unique sensor called Sonatax. Basically, it's the ultrasonic probe which can help you to analyze what is the height of the sludge inside the tank. It will express the height of the sludge, as you can see on the picture, the sludge level. This is what you will be able to see from the transmitter. It will tell you what is the height of the sludge, and is it the time to start pumping the sludge from the bottom of the tank. You set the set point of the height, and then it's automatically done. You can also put it on the rack, and if this rack rotating, it will not only give you the height of the sludge, it will give you the landscape of the sludge. Because the formation of the sludge in the tank is different. It's like the hills out there. The next very important point is the aeration. And I will try to make it very easy to follow. If you still use electrochemical sensor to measure dissolved oxygen, I would encourage you, please consider the optical sensor. I will explain why. The optical sensor, it has much lower cost of ownership because it has no electrolyte, it has no membranes to replace, it does not have cathode and anode, there is no electrochemical reaction happening. The optical sensor, what it measures is the time between we send the blue light, initiate the luminar layer, and in the presence of oxygen, the energy which we detect back as a red light would be very quick, in seconds. So basically what we measure is no longer the concentration, we measure the time of sending the light and receiving the light back. And this difference of time will be expressed as the ppm of oxygen. Also, what is important with this optical analyzer, since we measure the time, it's no longer drift. For those of you who still using the electrochemical sensor for the wastewater, you know what's the drift of the signal. It means if it's drifting and it's no longer providing the accurate measurement, you will be aerating your sludge more and more, or you might under-aerating. It will result in the biological health of the bacteria. Very important about this sensor. We are so sure about this sensor because we started producing this 20 years ago. We are so sure that through the time we extend the warranty first to 18 months from 12, now we extended it to 24 months. And the only one thing you need to replace as a spare part, you see this black cup? This black cup, the only one thing which should be replaced. You replace the black cup and you put it back, the dissolved oxygen sensor back into the aeration tank. All right, very common and very unique analyzer which measures toxicity of the wastewater. What is toxicity? Toxicity can be a result of anything. There is a heavy metals, there is an acid, there is a mineral oil spill, anything which is considered toxic for the biological treatment. This is what we can measure and express results in the toxicity level. Basically, what this sensor measures, it measures the ability of the sludge to consume oxygen. We assume if our sludge is healthy, it will consume, for example, 4 ppm of oxygen. But if the wastewater comes toxic, the sludge will be affected and no longer able to consume 4 ppm. It will consume much less. So what we measure is the difference between those two samples. The whole system looks this way. It comes in a shelter, there is an analyzer, and there is a system for two type of the samples. The RAS, return activated sludge, which we consider as a healthy one, and the incoming wastewater mixed with the sludge. That would be our two samples, and there is a sampling system for that. Then nitrogen. If you have any challenges with the removing of ammonia, what we have for that reason, we have the sensors to measure the ammonia. We also can measure the nitrate and nitrate. But very recent, very new instrument called NH6000. This is our new ammonium sensor. Then you convert ammonium, NH4+, into ammonia as a gas. This is what we measure. This is a gas-sensitive electrode machine which performs the measurement of ammonia. It works with the sampling system. We have improved this sampling system. If maybe some of you know our previous one, we have improved this sampling system. We also measure phosphates, orthophosphates for the wastewater. That would be expressed as the PO4. We're also capable to do that. And maybe for the effluent, if your treated wastewater later goes for reuse or it goes for irrigation, it has to be additionally disinfected. To maintain the disinfection, you again can use one of those instruments which I was showing in the very beginning. I believe that was the last one. Was it? Yes. Thank you. I hope that, thank you.
Thank you, Engineer
Thank you,
Konstantin
thank
Makarov. We will have our question and answer session later stage. The session was indeed exceptional and we trust it proved highly beneficial to all attendees. We extend our sincere gratitude to Engineer Konstantin Makarov for sharing his invaluable knowledge and experience on industrial water cycle. We would like to request Engineer Konstantin Makarov to come to the stage. We would like to felicitate you. It's time to felicitate our distinguished speaker. Before felicitating, I would request Engineer Arun Golden, Treasurer TEF 2025, to felicitate with Ponnadai to Engineer Konstantin Makarov. I request Karthik Ramadas to felicitate Engineer Konstantin Makarov with the garland. I invite Engineer Kapil, Joint Secretary, IT TEF 2025, to felicitate Konstantin Makarov with the memento. Thank you, gentlemen. It is now our pleasure to commence the much anticipated curtain raiser event. I invite Engineer Jem Prasanna to take the stage and guide us through this special event. Thank you,
Assalamu alaikum, namaskar, and good evening, everyone. Dear all, now we would like to take you through a very special moment. On this wonderful evening, we have gathered here for the curtain raiser event of our flagship program, 16th TIES and 9th EEA, an event that has been the forerunner of technological conferences, an annual event that has been so well received among the technology providers and the audience, an event that provides a platform for sharing innovative technologies and best practices. The 16th Technological Innovation and Conference and Exposition 2025. Today, with immense pride and joy, we will also be unveiling the brochures for the 16 technological innovations conference and exposition, and the 9th Engineering Excellence Awards that celebrates the exceptional engineers across the technological spectrum of Kuwait. Today, we are delighted to have with us our chief guest, Mr. Salem Al-Ajmi, former consultant to the Excellency Ministry of Electricity, Water and Renewable Energy 2021. He is also the CEO of Sustainability Institute and Sustainable Solutions Company for the Consultancy and Renewable Energy. He is also the certified expert by European Energy Center, who will be delivering today's keynote address. We are also happy to have amongst us our guest of honor, Mr. Ahmad Ismail Muhammad Dashti, Manager, Maintenance, KNPC Mina Al Ahmadi Refinery, and Mr. Saleh Nazar Al Jateli, Manager, Technical Services, KNPC Mina Al Ahmadi Refinery, and Mr. Sabah Al Shamari, Director, Golden Palm Petroleum Services, and also Mr. Badr Al Sharaki. We thank all the esteemed guests for your presence in midst of your busy schedule. On behalf of TIF, we extend a warm welcome to all of you. So now I request our President and General Secretary to welcome all our guests with your bouquet. Thank you, sirs. Before we start our program, I request you all to rise up for the Kuwait National Anthem, followed by Indian National Anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
Thank you, sir. Please be seated. To start the day's proceedings, I request our President, Mr. Raja, to deliver the President address.
Good evening, distinguished guests, speakers, and beloved Defiants. Dear friends, when we came here 4:30, the hotel is black, no power, and the hotel staffs told that they never experienced this, and they have an emergency generator, that too only for the emergency light. And when the power will come, everyone is telling that it will take 2 hours or 3 hours. We planned the program, but everyone was my boys was very anxious, and they don't know what to do, and even the hotel management, they don't have any other option, because arranging a generator, it will take a lot of time. Then we didn't panic. We sit together and called the staff, and we told them, okay, you can keep the emergency lights minimum and give us the sound supply only for the mic and give one projector. So immediately they made it. They brought the projector from somewhere, and they make power supply for the mic, and we started the event on time, and that is the power of engineers. It's my great pleasure to welcome you all to the Curtain Raiser event for the 16th TIES and 9th Engineering Excellence Awards. Your presence here this evening reflects a collective commitment to innovation and excellence within our engineering community, and for that, I would like to extend my sincere thanks to each one of you. As we reflect on the past, I want to take a moment to celebrate the tremendous success we experienced at last year's TIES Engineering and Excellence Awards. The turnout was overwhelming, and it was heartwarming to witness so many passionate individuals coming together throughout the globe to share their insights and innovations. Your participation as a Defiants was also the cornerstone of that success, and I extend my heartfelt gratitude to our TEF members, sponsors, and patrons. Today, we are honored to have Mr. Salam Al-Hajmi, former consultant to His Excellency Ministry of MEW and CEO of Sustainability Institute, who will grace us with a keynote address, because his presence made special to us, because the topic of this year conference is having a very good attachment with him. Thank you very much, sir, for accepting our invitation and for your valuable time. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. His expertise in sustainable solution and renewable energy is critical to the future of our industry, and we look forward to his invaluable insights. We are also honored to welcome our distinguished guest of honor, Mr. Saleh Nasser Al-Jatili, Manager of Technical Services at KPC MAA Refinery, and Mr. Ahmad Ismail Ali Muhammad Dashti, Manager of Maintenance at KNPC MAA Refinery, and Mr. Sabah Al-Shamari, Director of Golden Palm. Your esteemed presence not only elevates the significance of this event, but also adds great value to our gathering. We are truly grateful to have you with us today. Thank you, sirs. I would like to express special recognition to KMMC, our event sponsor, along with the partners Hack USA and GOAT and CDC Corporation USA. Your support plays a vital role in making this event possible, and we are truly grateful for your unwavering commitment and support to TEF. Thank you, Mr. Vivian. As we gear up to host this year's TIES and Engineering Excellence Awards on October 9, 2025, I encourage all of you to stay engaged and participate actively. Your presence will be crucial not only to the success of the event, but also to the continued growth and prominence of TEF on the big stage. Together, let us push the boundaries of excellence and elevate our platform to new heights. Thank you once again for being here today. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. As we are aware, TEF was established in the year 2000 and boasts a rich history of numerous significant initiatives. In this context, I request Mr. Periyaswamy, Joint Secretary TEF 2025, to provide an overview of the journey of the Tamil Nadu Engineers Forum with particular emphasis on the flagship programs, TICE and EEA.
Good evening, distinguished guests and beloved Tefians. It is my honor and privilege to share with you the journey of Technological Innovations Conference and Exposition and the Engineering Excellence Awards. This journey, built on knowledge, innovation, and excellence, is a testament to Tamil Nadu Engineers Forum's unwavering dedication to the engineering community. TEF was established in the year 2000 and began its journey with a membership of just 30 engineers, has today grown into an inspiring network of 550 plus active engineers from various industries across all sectors in Kuwait. TEF, a non-profitable voluntary organization, has been committed to creating a dynamic platform for knowledge sharing, technical development, and professional growth. We are proud to be the first engineering association in Kuwait to achieve ISO 9001:2015 certification, and we ensure quality and continuous improvement in all our programs. TEF has continuously set the benchmark by organizing over 20 plus events annually, including technical seminars, science exhibitions, health and fitness activities, women's empowerment programs, and cultural events. As we gather here today, it is important to look back on the remarkable journey that TICE has undertaken since its inception. In 2010, TEF launched its first Technological Innovations Conference and Exposition, which has become now a premier platform for business and technical networking in Kuwait. Each year, TICE draws high-profile industrial leaders, technical experts, and engineers from the oil and gas, refineries, petrochemical, power, and other industries. Each TICE has built upon the previous one, growing in scale and its significance. The journey of TICE is a story of vision and collective effort. TICE was established to provide a platform for engineers and innovators to come together, share ideas, and showcase cutting-edge technologies. Over the years, TICE has evolved significantly. Over the past 15 editions, TICE has proudly hosted 9,000 plus attendees, 470 exhibitors, 370 speakers. This year, TEF is set to host the 16th edition of TICE at Crown Plaza Hotel, Kuwait on 9th October 2025, promising yet another milestone in our journey of TEF. TEF strongly believes that excellence deserves recognition, which is why we launched the Engineering Excellence Awards in 2016 to honor outstanding contributions in engineering, technology, and innovation. Since its inception, 950 awardees across 25 categories have been recognized for their remarkable achievements. This year, alongside TICE, we proudly host the 9th edition of EEA, continuing our mission to inspire and reward those who push the boundaries of engineering excellence. The success of TICE and EEA is not solely measured by the number of participants or the scale of the event. It is measured by the impact we have had on individuals and the community at large. In conclusion, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to everyone who has been part of this incredible journey. To our founding members, past presidents and general secretaries, our current members, and our esteemed sponsors, your support and dedication have been instrumental in this success. Let us continue to work together to inspire, innovate, and excel. As we embark on another year of TICE and the EEA, let us remember that our journey is far from over. Together, we will continue to shape the future of engineering and technology. Thank you for being part of this remarkable journey. Now, let us take a moment to watch a short video highlighting the journey of TICE and EEA.
Tamil Nadu Engineers Forum, Kuwait, a leading engineers association established in the year 1999 by alumni of engineering colleges, the state of Tamil Nadu, India.
Provides platform for knowledge sharing, technical and professional development amongst its members. TICE was initiated in the year 2010. TICE, organized by TEF, is the premier international technical conference for oil, gas, and energy professionals and leaders worldwide, bringing together some of the brightest minds in engineering and technology to showcase innovative ideas and breakthrough technologies. This unique event covers a diverse range of technical and engineering topics, offering unparalleled access to the most current industry knowledge, innovations, technical expertise, products, solutions, and services available. Engineering Excellence Awards introduced in year 2016 and gathered attention among engineering companies in Kuwait.
Thank you, Alu.
Thank you, Mr. Perisami. Dear all, now we would like to invite our chief guest, Mr. Salam Al-Ajmi, former consultant to His Excellency Ministry of Electricity, Water and Renewable Energy 2021, CEO of Sustainability Institute and Sustainable Solutions Company for the Consultancy and Renewable Energy. He is a certified expert by European Energy Center, and we request him to the dais. I request our President and General Secretary to accompany the chief guest and guide him to the dais. To give you a brief about our chief guest, Engineer Salam Al-Ajmi is a faculty member at the College of Technological Studies in the Public Authority of Applied Education and Training, Kuwait. He is a former consultant to His Excellency Ministry of Electricity, Water and Renewable Energy in 2021 and participated in several studies and works related to the renewable energy. He holds a master's degree in electrical engineering from University of Strathclyde in Glasgow, United Kingdom in 2018. He also holds a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering from Oklahoma State University in Stillwater, USA. Mr. Al-Ajmi is currently a board member of the Arab Council for Sustainable Energy, and he is also in the Council Scientific Advisory Board. He is awarded first place in National Project Entrepreneurship Competition 2015 in his project area. Now, dear ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the great moment to raise the curtain of the flagship event, 16th TICE and 9th EEA. I request our chief guest to raise the curtain, marking the official announcement of the 16th Technological Innovation Conference Exposition 2025 and 9th EEA. We also request our guest of honors, Mr. Ahmad Ismail Ali Muhammad Dashti, Manager, Maintenance, KNPC MMA Refinery, and Mr. Saleh Nazar Al Jateli, Manager, Technical Services, KNPC MAA Refinery, and Mr. Sabah Al Shamari, Director, Golden Palm Services, to come to the dais and accompany. Thank you, sir. And now the ties and EA brochures will be released by our chief guest. Now the Honorable Chief Guest will release the ties brochure, and the first copy will be received by Mr. Ahmad Ismail Ali Muhammad Dashti, Manager Maintenance, KNPC Mina Al Ahmadi Refinery. And Mr. Sabah Al Shamari to accompany him to receive the first copy. Now the Honorable Chief Guest will release the EEA brochure, and the first copy will be received by Mr. Saleh Nazar Al Jateli, Manager Technical Services, KNPC Mina Al Ahmadi Refinery. I request Mr. Sabah Al Shamari to accompany him. I also invite all our ex-presidents and ex-secretaries of TEF to come to the dais to join us to receive the ties copies. I request Mr. P.P. Muthu and Mr. Bala Ilamaran and Mr. Vivian Rodix from KMMC also to join us. Thank you, sirs. You may kindly take your seat, and we will proceed for the keynote address. We urge all our members and our today's invitees and guests to mark this date, 9th October 2025, and attend this international conference and expositions. As you see, the theme of the conference is the rise of green engineering, advancing sustainability through technology. Now I request our chief guest, Mr. Salem Al-Ajami, to deliver the keynote address.
No, no, it's okay. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. Good evening, everyone, our audience and esteemed guests. It's really my great pleasure to be here and to be part of this interesting and valuable event raised by the Tamil Nadu Engineering Forum. Actually, when I am invited to be here, I was so glad since I spent some of my time overseas, and I know how is good and valuable is the activity raised by the society, by the caring, responsible people who would like to get benefits to his community and his country and so on. That's what TIF is doing now. I'm really happy to be here. When you have a success in organizing a conference, it's kind of achievement, but it's not a great achievement. But when you have it 6 years in a row, it's really a great achievement that is done by the group of TEF, which is the Tamil Nadu Engineering Forum. And I can say, guys, you are very lucky to have this team who loves their community, they love their disciplines, they love their country, and also the world. And what make me much happier that I see the scientific and technical seminars is running. They are caring about the knowledge and to make the future more sustainable when we are getting this knowledge and try to apply it in our work or to our even at our homes. I'm very glad to be part of this, and I'm looking forward to seeing you all next October for that conference. And also would like to thank who gave presentations earlier before I came, but I got impressed by Mr. Makarov about the technology, about the instruments, that they work so hard to make it real, and they have a good experience in that. These kind of instruments are not important for the country and for the owner, but also for the investor and the installer of the project, the operation for the operations and for running the projects. I know we all seeking the improvement to overcome the climate change in one way or another. I'm in the field maybe more than 20 years in the field of renewable energy, and I notice about India how the movement of India toward achieving and installing a lot of renewable energy projects. Maybe 10 years ago, India is among 10 the highest or the best 10 countries who are doing some projects in renewable energy. I am a believer, or I believe that India will be among the 3 next few years. They are doing very well in their process. They are getting very advanced in many regulations and technical teams, and you guys will be part of that in the future to make India better. And also Kuwait started our vision regarding the future visions in 2012. Was the target at that time was a great, but now it's not a great as before. That's why our country is moving to something is impressive. In 2012, our late Amir he announced that Kuwait will apply renewable energy projects to cover the demand, to cover 15% of the demand. And that time, this percentage was very good, very high. 2023, our new Amir announced that Kuwait will achieve the carbon neutral in 2050. When we say carbon neutral, that means how much carbon emission is running here in country. We should have another projects, green projects, that can compensate that amount and to make our country carbon neutral by 2050. And that's the moment that I like it from the team here in TEF, when they select the title of the conference to be the green engineering. The green engineering is the motivations for all engineers to search and give the better solutions to achieve the future ambitions that has been raised by our beloved countries to make our future more healthier, more sustainable, and more effective in the right way. This is, I hope, we can see you again to work together. And looking forward to seeing you on the next October. Thank you, and appreciate this invitation by our dear friends. I wish all the best for your coming events. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for the inspiring and encouraging speech. It means a lot to us. As a token of respect and love, we would like to honor our chief guest. I request Mr. Ramaraj, our ex-president TEF, to garland our chief guest. And I request Mr. Jayakumar, our ex-president TEF, to honor him with a shawl. I request Mr. Balan and Mr. Raja, President and General Secretary of TEF 2025, to present the memento to our chief guest. Thank you, sir. Now we would also like to honor our today guest of honor. I request Mr. Sabal Shamari, Director, Golden Palm Petroleum Services, to come to the dais. I request Mr. Rajendra Kannan, our ex-president TEF, to come forward to garland Mr. Sabal Shamari. And I request Mr. Krishna Jagan, ex-president TEF, to honor him with a shawl. I also request our President and General Secretary to present the memento to Mr. Sabal Shamari, Director, Golden Palm Petroleum Services. Thank you, sir. Now I would like to present the memento to today's event sponsor, KMMC. I request our chief guest, Mr. Salim Al-Ajmi, to come to the dais to present the memento to KMMC. On behalf of KMMC, I request Mr. Vivian Rodriguez to come to the dais to receive the memento. Mr. Subramanian, please join us on the stage. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your support. We express our profound gratitude, sir, for your generous contribution of time and your steadfast support for TEF. We kindly request you to take your seat. The curtain raiser event has now drawn to a close. We will proceed with the technical presentation momentarily. Before we do, we respectfully request that you note the date 9th October 2025 for the TIES and EEA event, and we urge you to honor us with your valuable attendance to ensure its grand success. Now over to Mr. Anand Raj and Mr. Sendil Kumar. Thank you all.
Thank you, Engineer Jem Prasanna.
Now it's time to move on to our second technical presentation of the day. I request Engineer Vadivelan to share the credentials of Mr. Irfan Sheikh and Mr. Nirav Vadgama and to introduce them to our audience.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's an absolute privilege to welcome Mr. Irfan Sheikh, Managing Director, Middle East and India at Continental Disc Corporation and Grath Corporation, and Mr. Nirav, Product Manager, Middle East and India at Continental Disc Corporation and Grath Corporation. With over 25 years of experience in pressure production devices, Irfan Sheikh serves as the Managing Director for the Middle East and India at Continental Disc Corporation and Grath Corporation. Throughout his distinguished career, Irfan has been pivotal in tackling chronic process challenges within various industries. His expertise in delivering custom solutions and optimizing process operating parameters has not only enhanced plant efficiency, but also significantly reduced product losses. Mr. Irfan's commitment to operational excellence and had led to measurable improvement in performance across the sectors he serves. On the other side, Mr. Nirav is the product manager for the Middle East and India at Continental Disc Corporation and Grath Corporation. Bringing over 8 years of specialized experience in rupture disc technology, his deep understanding of product selection and customization has been instrumental in addressing the unique needs of clients. Mr. Nirav's dedication to providing effective pressure production solutions ensures safety and efficiency in critical applications, making him a valuable asset to the organization and its customer. Let us welcome both these gentlemen to the dais to present us an insightful presentation, Role of Overproduction Devices in Process Optimization.
Thank you, Vadivel. Now we call upon Mr. Irfan Sheikh and Mr. Nirav Vadgama to come to the stage and give your presentation.
Good evening. Well, thank you so much, TF, for inviting me over here to present a topic on the role of overpressure protection devices in process optimization. We'll be doing this topic in two parts. The first part will be covered by myself, and the second part will be covered by my colleague, Nirav. I know we are just falling short of time. We had a late session. So I'll try to wrap up this quickly with the more precise information so that it can be useful. Please feel free to ask the questions anytime during the session also, or during the later part of the session. So let's begin with the presentation. No, the first part. The first part. This is the second part. Yeah. This one, right? Yeah, this is back. Thank you. So why are we here? Today we are going to just talk about ourselves, who we are, where do we come from, the key industry challenges that we see in today's industry, and how do we approach those aspects, how do we try to optimize, protect and comply, and discuss about the venting devices, what kind of venting devices we have, the different types of applications, and how this venting device can be rightly used for the optimum use in the industry, and how the challenges that we are seeing in now today's scenario is being addressed. We certainly have got a case study for you, which is very interesting, which you might have a similar application over here, or where you might feel that the solution can be a part of what you're looking for from all these years. Giving a brief history of our company, Groth Corporation was founded in the year 1960 in Houston, manufacturing of pressure vacuum relief valves, flame arresters, pilot operated valves, and all kind of reclosing venting devices. Continental Disc Corporation, another manufacturing unit, manufactures rupture disc, was founded in the year 1965 in Liberty, Kansas City, Missouri. We acquired a division of Anderson Greenwood Crosby in the year 1987, which used to manufacture the rupture disc part. Again, another acquisition was done in the year 1990, where we acquired a brand called Lamott, which used to manufacture rupture disc. We moved to a new location in Liberty in 1994, acquired another rupture disc company, a part of Anderson Greenwood Crosby, in 1998. Groth was acquired by Continental Disc Corporation in the year 1999, and from 1999, Groth falls under the umbrella of Continental Disc Corporation. So our principal company remains Continental Disc Corporation, although we have got two different manufacturing facilities, one for rupture disc, one for pressure vacuum relief valves. In the year 2010, we came up with a manufacturing location in India with the objective of serving the local customers and our MEI customers, the Middle East customers, with a nearby facility giving him the best-in-class products from India. And the journey is continuing. We got a global presence. We got an offices at different parts of the world. We got an office in Missouri, Stafford, Texas, Ahmedabad, where our manufacturing location of India is. We got an office in China, only the sales office, another sales office in Europe. So I'll quickly jump on the topic why we are here, and how do we address that. So what this presentation, what I built upon, is basically on the feedback, on the data that I've accumulated from being in industry from last 25 years, meeting different customers in Middle East, mainly Middle East, what challenges they are seeing, and how do we contribute in overcoming those challenges. So as of now, the biggest challenge every industry, every refinery, petrochemical or a chemical industry is seeing is the evaporation losses leading to the product wastages, which indirectly increases the operational cost because of the process efficiencies, deficiencies about the operational efficiencies and all. Inefficient venting solutions causing safety hazards, resulting in many tank failures. We are seeing the tanks getting buckled up due to vacuum conditions. So that's mainly because of the inefficient venting technologies. The different type of equipment failures, the maintenance cost associated with it, and of course the pressure fluctuations that we see in many high pressure system reactions where rupture discs are used, and there is a fatigue of disc which results in an early failure and thereby increasing the operational cost. Everybody is concerned about the getting the products with the right optimized use and eventually the life cycle of the product such that the plant is less under maintenance and eventually the product performs for a longer time. So we are seeing that nowadays the products are getting into maintenance much before than what they are supposed to be. Now why that's happening, we're probably going to discuss that, and how do we overcome those challenges. Environmental regulations, we are seeing now a lot places that we are going towards the zero emission technology where nothing is allowed to be vented to the atmosphere, or I'll say not nothing, but at least bare minimum. And how do we do that? What can be done with the venting devices? We're going to discuss that. How do we do the safety and other compliances? So the whole objective is, when we talk about pressure vacuum relief valves or breather valves, the only thing that comes to this mind is that these are the devices mainly used for relieving the pressure or breaking the vacuum in the system. The concept of environmental or reducing the evaporation losses, that has not been a thought of consideration from many years. When these devices are brought, many a time people are under the impression, okay, we are sizing it for the pressure and vacuum conditions, but do we really see the other process parameters? Are these devices rightly selected? What are the conditions and all that stuff? How do we minimize the evaporation losses, by using this technology? How do we bring down the product wastages? That is a topic which has become now a topic of discussion by many engineering companies, many engineering consultants. What is zero emission venting strategies? Everybody is talking that, okay, we want a device which can minimize no losses in the atmosphere. How do we do about that? What is the zero emission technology, what people are talking about? How can a venting device qualify for this zero emission venting strategies? It's practically possible if you do it in a right way. So we are going to talk about how to do that. Of course, by preventing the overpressure and underpressure failures, that is the basic reason why you put a pressure vacuum relief valve or a ruptured disc on the top of a tank or on top of a vessel. Of course, using efficient venting solutions, tested and certified as per the latest international standards. Many a times we see that although the engineering companies take all the pains to specify in the standards about the requirements and the compliance requirements, but as we know, when the project is being done, it is awarded to many contractors who try to dilute the specification just to buy something which is, I'll not say very cheap, but which is practically within their budget to get the things done. But eventually that leads to a product which creates a terrible problem for the user to handle it for a longer amount of time. So when we talk about venting devices, there are two types of venting devices. One is the reclosing type and another is the non-reclosing type. Reclosing type, in a simple layman's language, a device which should open, relieve the pressure and set it back so that it can be used for the second time also. But something like a non-reclosing device is typically a ruptured disc which will burst when the pressure will happen, and then you need to change that disc. It's not a reclosing device. So we've got two sessions to cover. One we're talking about is the reclosing devices, where we'll be talking about the breather valves, the pressure vacuum relief valves and emergency relief valves. Conventional valves are in the breather valves, we've got two categories. One are the typical conventional weight-loaded valves, and another is probably the most advanced technology in the pressure vacuum relief valves, called as pilot-operated valves. And in case of ruptured disc, we have got the ruptured disc, which is again broadly classified into a forward-acting ruptured disc and a reverse buckling ruptured disc. So what I'm going to focus probably in the next 20 minutes is more on the reclosing type of devices. So what is basically reclosing type devices? These are basically the pressure vacuum relief valves available in different models, different configurations, as you can see on your screen, which are used for relief of pressure and vacuum. I'm not going to read out or probably go into the model details because already we are running short of time. I know after having a long day at work, people might be hungry. So it's for your understanding, it is basically a pressure vacuum relief valve which is put on top of a storage tank for relieving the pressure and vacuum. And I'm sure many audiences over here, they might be knowing about this. My whole intention is to talk more about the chronic issues, the problems that we see in the industry, and try to reach out to you guys if you've got any questions on that. Why breather valves are basically, the term breather valves and pressure vacuum relief valves are one and the same, but some people call them as breather valves because they breathe in and breathe out. Some call 'em- some places it is called as a pressure and vacuum relief valves, which is nothing but relieving pressure and relieving vacuum. So what is the whole purpose of putting a pressure vacuum relief valve? Better emission control, because if your tanks are just openly vented to atmosphere, they'll be continuously relieving the excessive pressure and the vacuum into the atmosphere, so the emission losses will be very, very high. So by putting a pressure vacuum relief valve, you're reducing the emission control. Product contamination, if you have an open vent nozzle, there is a likely chance that the air will be continuously coming into the tanks and creating more kind of contamination issues. So breather valve acts like an isolation between the atmosphere and the tank. Fire risk, yes, you're not venting anything into the atmosphere, reducing the fire risk. Provides relief from pressure and vacuum conditions. And certainly you can discharge whatever you're venting out from a tank to a safe location, so that the people working around the tank, they are much, much, much less prone to the hazardous issues of the tanks or the venting gases that is coming from the tanks. So how do these valves really function, you know? This is the conventional breather valves. I'm sure many of you must have seen these valves on the top of your tanks, refineries, petrochemicals, everywhere. Anywhere there is a pressure, there is a storage tank, you require these valves. So these are simple pressure vacuum relief valves acting on a weight-loaded technology, where the valve will open in the case of pressure and relieve the excessive pressure to the atmosphere. At the same time, in the case of vacuum, it will try to suck the air from the atmosphere and break the vacuum that has been created in the storage tanks. What is the technology that is acting on these valves? It's a weight-loaded valve, a deadweight technology, where the pallet is just resting on the seat of the valve to ensure that the valve remains closed under normal conditions, but only opens when there is excessive pressure or excessive vacuum. So the diagram is very self-explanatory, and you know, if anybody has got down, we can certainly discuss offline also to understand more details how this valve works. But looking at right now, I'll just proceed to the next slides. So when I started my presentation, I said about, you know, everybody's expectations of you know, using this kind of a technology where we don't vent out anything into the atmosphere, or indirectly we want something, a valves which will also help us in the environmental regulations. Well, these valves can do up to a certain extent much good to your process conditions if you design the valve in such a way that it is meeting the process requirements as well as it is working to what it is designed for. So like I said to you in my earlier slide, the WIS valves, there is no other technology that is holding the pallets on the seat. I'll just show it over here also. But just the weights. So these are the weights which are holding it on the seat part. So the technology eventually is just the weight which is keeping the valve closed. In this condition, if your operating pressure is very much close to the set pressure, these valves will start to, you know, simmer or kind of start to open, creating much, you know, vapors venting out to the atmosphere. In that case, you know, how good the valve may be, from wherever you must have bought that valve, but eventually that valve will start to simmer and pass the vapors into the atmosphere. In fact, that's the right way the valve should be doing, but that's not what we want. The whole objective is we want the valve to protect the tank. At the same time, we don't want the valve to give away more in the atmosphere and result into environmental hazards. So one way of ensuring that is by limiting the operating pressure of the tank in such a way that there is always a difference between the operating pressure in the tank and the set pressure of the valves. As per API 2000, if you're using a weight-loaded technology, then you have to ensure that the difference between the operating pressure and the set pressure is at least 25%, so that the valve pallet doesn't see the continuous operating pressure coming very close to its opening pressure, and as a result, the valve doesn't leak. In fact, as per API 2000, even at 75% of the set pressure, which is keeping the gap at 25%, they still allow the leakages, which is, for example, 14.2 liters per hour for a size of 6-inch and below, and for size of 8-inch to 16-inch, 140 liters per hour, the allowable leakage rates. Now, with Groth valves, what we have internally tested in our facility under the test conditions, discriminatory mark, under the test conditions, why I say, because when the valve is tested on the test bench, it may not exactly perform the same on the top of a storage tank. So I have to be very cautious when I say that, this is what we have internally tested. We can offer you the valves which can give you as good as zero leakage, that is holding tight up to the 75% of the set pressure, and eventually give a zero venting solution, or probably a zero emission at a tank operating pressures. So yes, these valves can be utilized under those conditions also, which can help you to prevent any fugitive emissions, reduce the losses, but if you do it in a right way. If you select the valve set pressure and limit your tank operating pressure, then definitely you can get this performance from the tank much, much, much better than what it is specified even by the API 2000 standard, which is the governing Bible for this kind of valves. But, many a times we have seen in certain applications that the operating pressure cannot be limited to 75% of the set pressure. The operating pressure in the tank is pretty high. It's very close to the set pressure of the valve or to the tank design pressure. We have seen many a times, the acceptable leakages are as good as zero. Like when my friend was giving a presentation on H2S analyzers and all, we have seen that how important H2S factors play when it comes to the corrosions and other stuff. And we have practically seen that many a times on valves which are dealing with H2S, nothing is expected to come out. Under such conditions, can these valves work? Well, difficult. It cannot, because unless you maintain that operating conditions. So what if the valve is going to be operating in cryogenic conditions? There are so many questions, what if the valve is exposed to high back pressures, like applications like flares and all, where you connect the valve outlet to a flare connections. Under that conditions, what is going to happen? Can we use a weight-loaded conventional valves? Certainly not. But, don't we have any other solution? Yes, we do have. We do have another solution called a much advanced technology called pilot-operated valve, which can be used for those applications where you have got the operating pressure very close to the tank design pressure, or very close to the system or set pressure of the valve, or you have got applications such as back pressure affecting the working of the valve, where you got cryogenic conditions. What is basically a pilot-operated valve? It's very much similar to a weight-loaded valve. The only difference is it's got an additional component or additional device which acts like a, I'll say, heart of that particular device. It's a pilot actuator. So a pressure relief valve that applies a pressure to an actuator transfers force to a pilot. The definition might look a little bit complicated, but eventually when you see the working of a pilot-operated valve, you'll find that very interesting, very simple, and probably justifies my talk of why these valves can work even probably case where the operating pressure is as good as 90 to 95% of the set pressure also. So what is basically a pilot-operated valve? It has got a pilot valve, an actuator, a pressure pickup, a pilot, and a spindle. So in this case of a pilot-operated valve, you got a pressure sense light which will be sensing the pressure in the tank and taking that pressure to the actuator and controlling the pilot opening, that is the main valve pilot opening, such a way that, unless the pilot gets completely pressurized, or the set pressure or the valve operating pressure reaches completely to the set pressure, the valve will hold tight. Because what we have seen in a weight-loaded valve technology, what was really working was the weight of the pilot that was resting on the seat of the valve. But here, if you see that if this is the main valve pallet, this pallet opening is controlled by the the pilot sense line, which is going to the pilot actuator, which is pressurizing this actuator. This actuator is holding the pressure or pressurizing on the other side the pallet. So as the pressure starts increasing, more and more pressure is applied to the actuator, which eventually turns down the pressure on this pallet and keeps the pallet in a closed position. In the case of earlier weight-loaded technology, which you must have seen, it was very much similar to the disc part of the valve, where the pallet was opening on the pressure beneath the valve. Here, the pallet opening is controlled by the pressure from the actuator. So these valves can hold tight even up to 90% of your set pressure with absolutely zero leakage. Absolutely zero leakage, these valves can give you the performance. So as we are experiencing that, everybody is going towards zero emission technology. If somebody asked me what is the best device that can create, the results, is nothing but the pilot operated valves. Like I said, it's basically the similar kind of a design, but having a pilot, the pilot pickup and all. I'll not go into the much detail of operations. Anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask. We'll explain it in offline mode, or we'll come to your offices and we'll explain more in details. Some of the features of our pilot operated valves, we got a special patented film seat which ensures that even if you take a sniffer and do a method 21 helium leak testing, the valves have passed those tests and there is absolutely no leakage coming up. Leak rate for pilot, like we said as per API, is 0 bubbles per minute, and for a metal to metal seated valves, 20 bubbles per minute. Metal to metal seated may not be required for 99% of the application, only 1% where the operating temperature might be very, very high, where we can't give a soft sealing. In those applications, metal to metal is required, but this pilot operated valves can be qualified for both the requirements. We do have a pilot operated valves tested for cryogenic conditions. Several of those valves are installed for your KNPC Alzor project. More than 190 valves are running probably from last few years in a very nice way. It has got certain advantages, also high flow capacity as compared to the conventional valves. We also supply valves, pilot operated valves for oxygen cleaning service with our new oxygen cleaning test setup we developed at our Indian facility. Other special options we can also provide, like field test connection. The biggest problem for the maintenance team is bringing the valve on top of the tank, from top of the tank to the workshop, doing the maintenance. With pilot operated valves, you can really online test the valves, see the valves needs calibration or not, and then only you can do it at this test center. Otherwise, you can actually do it on top of the tank itself. You can remotely control the opening and closing of the valve by doing the manual blowdown connections. Let's go more into details of this. You can discharge the valve to a header or probably take up to any location wherever you want. There is no limitations on the pipeline as long as you inform us the back pressure, what is going to happen on this valve, so that we can account those in the conditions. Prevents toxic vapors from releasing into the atmospheres. Manual blowdown, not going into much into details. Supply filters, many a times, like I said, the biggest problem of a pilot operated valves is, ideally these valves are designed and used for clean services. If your service is bad, we do not recommend to use a pilot operated valves unless we are sure that we got a supply filter which can take care of the dirt or the impurities in the gas. But if that can't be controlled, it is not recommended to use a pilot operated valves. Remote sense, the biggest advantage is in certain applications we have seen that many of time the valves are not mounted on the top of the storage tank but at a certain distance. So in those cases, if you got a manual or a conventional weight loaded valve, your valve is not going to see the correct operating pressure in the tank. It is going to see the lag. In that situation, it is not going to relieve at the exact pressure, and there is a hazard that the valve will be opening later than what is supposed to do. But in case of pilot operated valves, you can have a sense tube and the valve can be installed at several meters away from the tank, and eventually you can have the valve opening at the correct set pressure. We've got several pilot operated valve models. Not going into much details of this. It's for both pressure relief, vacuum relief, pressure and vacuum, the emergency pilot operated valves. One of the often ignored essentials when you specify these products or when you buy these valves, we have seen that many times people ignore the valve certification part. Like, you know, every manufacturer is supposed to prototype their valve for the flow capacity what they are certifying it to. It cannot be a manufacturer certification. Somebody has to actually physically test each and every valve when they have designed it on top of a test lab which is actually meeting the ASME PTC 25 requirements. Why it is essential? If the valve is not giving the flow capacity what it is rated for, eventually you're going to have failures which is going to be loss to your plant maintenance and probably human life also. So it is always better to ensure that, you know, we have bought a valve which is carrying the test certificate certified by notified international bodies who knows about flow testing, who knows about ASME PTC 25 requirements, and the valves are certified to those standards. This was mainly about the valve technology, the chlorine problems. I've got a case study for you where we had a very chronic problem from one of the biggest customer in Oman. It's one of the biggest oil company in Oman. Due to the confidential agreement, I'm not supposed to disclose the name of the end user, but it's one of the prominent oil company in Oman where there was continuous leakage from a 24-inch emergency relief valve which was mounted on the top of a storage tank. The interesting part is when they used to service this valve, test the valve on top of the test bench, the valve used to perform absolutely fine. But same valve when they used to put on top of the storage tank, the valve used to start leaking even at 50% of the set pressure. Ideally the valve should hold at least till 75%, but the valve was venting at much lower pressure. And the irony was, this was an H2S plant where the H2S content was very high. It was difficult for the plant operators and the plant to keep the plant operating at that pressure because that was resulting in a lot of losses. So they had to in fact reduce the operating pressure and bring down the efficiency of the plant to operate to keep the pressure at much lower conditions. So when this case was brought to us, we eventually did a lot of inspection on the top of the tank, where the tank nozzle is flat, whether there are any leakages from any other devices, but we found everything to be perfect. The only thing that was suspicious is when we were testing the valve, or when they were testing the valve on top of the test benches, it was done with the air. But actually when the valves were put on top of the tanks, the actual media was H2S gas, which was showing a different kind of behavior as compared to air, and as a result, even at much lower operating pressures, the H2S was escaping from the valve seat area, and it was continuously causing the leakage. So that's where we discussed and decided, okay, we'll give you a pilot operated valve technology which will be having the pilot operated and actuator pressure to hold the seat even at much higher pressure, and as a result, but the only limitation that time we had was the nozzle size, and the valve was 24-inch, and we didn't have a valve up to that size. So we actually tailor-made a valve for them. We did all the testing internally, and the condition was they will put the valve on top of the tank and see the performance for 6 months, and if the valve is performing fine, they will buy from us, otherwise they will return back the valve. But we were so confident with the technology that we told, okay, we accepted that conditions, and we offered them the valve, and touch wood, till today the valve is working absolutely fine, no leakages, and even maintenance they're doing once in 2 years or 3 years, despite having high H2S content. with a kind of a service which is creating some kind of contamination. But that's how with the pilot operated technology, we were able to ensure the valve pressure is, and when they started using the pilot operated valve, they started increasing the operating pressure in the tank also, eventually increasing the efficiency of the plant. So many a times the thought comes that pilot operated valves might be expensive, but looking at the cost of manufacturing and the cost it will be saving in actual process conditions, it makes more sensible to go for this kind of technology. So this was our 24-inch pilot operated valve which we developed for their problems, and touch wood, everything went fine, and the valve is still operating much better, and they are very, very happy with the technology that we provided them with this solution. Final thoughts. Breather valves, they are just not a compliance devices. Many a time people buy this because somebody has specified you need a PVRV or a pressure vacuum relief valve on top of the storage tanks. No, they're not. They have got much, much better applications. They can be helpful in process optimization by using the right product. They can minimize the product losses if you keep the set pressure and set vacuum correctly. If you identify the process parameters properly, you can help them to reduce your environmental losses if you set them properly or use the right technology. Material, many a times initially when the project is designed, people just ignore the material selections, either by ignorance or by just saving the cost. But we have seen that nowadays even the gaskets or the diaphragms, they are creating some kind of issues. Standard gaskets which people used to buy from years and years for H2S service, it's not working. The standard 316 material is not working for H2S. So metallurgy also plays a very, very important role when you select a product. So please do take care of that aspect also. If you have a good material selection at the start of the project, you will see that the valve is coming under maintenance very, very rarely. But if you have got a valve which is not selected for that process conditions material wise, you're going to see the valve coming with a lot of corrosions, a lot of maintenance required quite frequently. Maintain at least 25% margin to ensure that the valve doesn't show any frequent opening, so that you don't have too much of environmental losses. If leak tightness is essential, if you do not want to vent anything into the atmosphere, if you're going into that kind of a zone, H2S applications and all, our recommendations will be always go for a pilot operated valve subject to the service is clean. If the service is dirty, we might help you to find some other solutions. But ideally, that's what our recommendation is. Flow certification, it's not optional, it's must. Ensure that the valve that you're buying from, that has been certified for its flow capacity by notified body. At the same time, the manufacturer is just not getting a certificate, but has a lab which has been certified as per ASME PTC 25 requirements. So this were the final thoughts and probably a presentation in nutshell to help the audience over here on the chronic issues. Any questions? I'll be happy to answer before we jump on to the second part of the rupture disk.
Any questions from the audience?
Well, if not, then we'll just move to the second part of the presentation. I'll have my... Yes, sir. Please.
So especially this PVRV's calculations. See, when we put the valve, originally when the plant is being constructed, they have a different type of parameters, okay? During operations and due to the sludge buildup and a lot of water, all these things, and the erosion, corrosion, the complete parameters changes. The tank capacity also get reduced. But the valve is same capacity. What will happen to that?
Ideally, when these valves are selected or when they are sized on the basis of the tank conditions. What I mean to say is the pumping in capacity, the pumping out capacity, the environmental changes. That will not change unless you change a pump, or you're withdrawing at much higher capacity, or you're pumping at much higher capacity, or using at a much different conditions. Like, you know, when the project was designed, it was supposed to come in Kuwait, and suddenly you started using that valve in Europe. So that's the different conditions. But if that conditions have not changed, the valve capacity, there will be no effect on the valve performance. But if the valve is oversized and you've got lot many other factors, the valve will have chattering effect and maintenance of the valve will be terrible. I think he's having some question.
Yeah, you are talking about this HDS emission, right? That case study which you have done. What is the concentration of HDS?
I don't remember the concentration of H2S. I can share the data with you, but it was pretty high H2S concentration gas. Pretty high.
When you are mentioning about this HDS leakage, it is not permitted most of the refineries.
It is not. It is not permitted. H2S gas, because they used to have the infrared sensors for measuring the H2S gases. With the naked eye, you cannot see the leakage also. With the naked eye, you cannot see the leakage, but with infrared sensors, and they had the alarms all over the plant. So moment there was even a minor leakage from that device, the alarms used to, you know, get triggered on, and the plant has to be shut down. So that's where, you know, it was very difficult to identify, and the biggest problem is you cannot do any online repair on the top of the tank because the H2S is coming out. It was so challenging replacing the current device also. So yes, H2S concentration varies, and with the naked eye you cannot see that.
True. Thank you.
Any more questions?
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
With the pilot operated valve, how close we can come to the operating pressure? In other words, in the full lift of the valve, like for this fire case or blocked outlet case, we can go to 110% or 121%. So how close we can, how close we can tighten this margin of full lift of the valve, and how close we can come to the operating pressure in the case of pilot?
Okay, so I'll answer this question in two parts. The first is the full lift of the valve, and second is how close can we come with the use of pilot operated valves. First of all, many a times people confuse between a low pressure vacuum relief valve to a high pressure safety valves. 90% of people I've seen, the audience have seen, they are much influenced by the terms used in a PSV, like block discharge or the safety fire condition. In this kind of PVRVs, as long as there is an overpressure allowed up to the tank design pressure, for example, your tank is 10 millibar, you have kept the valve at 7 millibar, you can go up to 10 millibar. There is no limitation 10, 20, 30. Even though when we say the full lift of this valve, there is nothing called full lift. The valve will open, but still you can increase the overpressure to get the additional flow capacity. The only difference is if the operating pressure is very close to your set pressure, the valve is going to leak, the weight loaded valve. When you come to pilot operated valves, you can eventually take the pilot operated valve up to 95% of the operating pressure also. Ideally, we recommend it up to 90%, but you can go it up to 95% of the operating pressure, because first the pilot is going to open and then the main valve is going to open. Now the pilot is going to keep tight up to 100% of the set pressure, and then the main valve is going to open. So I have seen in many of the applications, even up to the 100% of the set pressure, the pilot valve will hold tight and then it will open. So the band is very, very minimum. You can go up to 95% of the set pressure also. The margin can be as less as 5% also, or even in many cases you can go up to the set pressure also.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Irfan.
One more question.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
We received an inquiry from our customer to test a pilot operator valve installed on a LNG tank.
Okay.
So they want to do an inline testing.
Okay.
So do you recommend that the set pressure is about 0.26 bar, and we made one setup to apply the factory gas with a controlled manner to the pilot. So it will work. Do you recommend?
Yes, that's what I showed you, that if you have got a field test connection, along with the pilot operated valve, You can test the pilot operated valve for the set pressure on top of the tank also with an a small oxygen tank, and you can actually see the opening and closing of the valve. The only thing what you cannot do is replace the spares, and because that calibration has to be done on top of the on any certified test bench. But absolutely fine, you can test the valves on top of the tank.
Thank you, Mr. Irfan Sheikh.
Pleasure. Thank you so much.
Yes.
So I'll have my colleague Nirav to continue on the rupture disc part.
Yeah, we'd like to felicitate you first.
Yeah, thank you so much.
I'd like to welcome Mr. Middleton, TEF 2025 committee member, to present a Ponnadai to Mr. Irfan Sheikh. Now I'd like to invite Mr. Raj Narayanan, TEF 2025 committee member, to felicitate Mr. Irfan Sheikh with a garland. We would like to welcome Mr. Kalayarsan, TEF 2025 committee member, to felicitate Mr. Irfan Sheikh with a memento. Thank you all. Now it's time to welcome our third speaker, Mr. Nirav Vadgama, for his presentation.
Hello, hello, hello. Good evening all. I know I am the only person standing between you and dinner, so I'll make sure that my presentation is very, short and script. So we already covered about, Irfan sir has already, briefed you about the emissions and, how we can control it and how the venting device is actually supporting. So he has covered about, all the non-reclosing devices. I'm just going to, brief you about the, he has already covered about the reclosing devices. So I'm going to cover all the non-reclosing device. So let me start with my presentation. If you have any question in between, just raise your hand and, we can discuss on that. Or later on also we have a question answer session, so we can discuss thoroughly. So, to brief you about the rupture disc, okay, give me a moment. Okay, so I'm going to cover a topic on, sorry, so I'm just going to cover on the, a brief overview of the rupture disc, and then I'm going to, tell you about how we manufacture and what are the, point which is important to manufacture the rupture disc, the major type of an assemblies, how rupture disc is going to support you to optimize your process, and what are the critical consideration which is important in the industries, and why you can, why the CDC you have to opt out, or how CDC can support you in this. So to start with, a rupture disc is basically, so all the devices which is installed in the facility are designed to withstand. This is the only device which is designed to burst or fail at a differential pressure or a specific pressure at the coincidence temperature. So, most of the, we have covered about the safety valve, we have seen, all the control valves that are designed to operate at particular pressure or, a particular temperature, but this device are designed to fail. So how it looks like, so it's a rupture disc install. Is it audible to you all, right? So it's come with the, holder assemblies, and there are multiple variant also available based on the applications. We'll deeply go into it. So it's when we say where this engineering forum, so it's only engineering weak spot are designed to fail. So that's why we call it a weakest link of of the equipment, or it's an engineered weak spot which we created to ensure that your system will be fully protected. Now to go deep down and slide by side and all, instead I've kept most of my presentation with the videos. So let's have a look how it actually works. So this is the rupture disc installed in between the holders, and this will be completely, suitable to fit in between the flanges. So now you can see here, the pressure is coming, and until the disc is, going to reach a desired pressure, it will withstand that pressure. And once you have a desired pressure, it will open like a door. And after the bursting of a disc, you just replace with the new one, and again, it start to serve the next process of the cycle. Now, the most important, factor is how actually the rupture disc is manufactured. Aesthetically, it's just a metal sheet. If you look like, made into a particular shape, but it's a very technological product where, every parameter has to be considered, to form a particular shape. Now, when we have an inquiry, or any vendor have an inquiry, the first important parameter, so we have sold more than millions of rupture discs, so we know, which particular thickness has to be selected for specific pressure and the size. And based on that, we take out a particular thickness of the sheet. Then we cut it into a particular, required sizes. Now, after cutting into the particular sizes, we have to first, arrive at a specific dome. So how we do that? So this is the initial phase of the manufacturing of a rupture disc. Now we are going to raise a pressure to achieve a specific dome shape. So now we can see, from a metal sheet, we have arrived to this dome, which is desirable. Now, what if we could not be able to achieve this specific dome, or while building up the pressure, it got failed? So we have to select a different size or different thickness of the material. The reason behind that is, every metal sheet have a different grain structure. So we have to start again from the scratch, select the different thickness of the material, and do this process again. Until we're gonna achieve the initial phase, we cannot be move ahead. Now, after achieving a specific initial phase, which was passed by our quality team, we go for a further testing, where we actually burst the rupture disc. So as per the ASME guideline, any manufacturer who manufactures the rupture disc has to test minimum 2 number of a rupture disc, and it has to burst within the weld tolerance. If it's not, we have to start process again from the initial stage. So every time, even though we have supplied a rupture disc from the initial phase on the project, even you order a spare, we have to do this practice again and again. So every time for us, it's a new requirement only, because the thickness and grain structure can change based on for every lot. Now, if it's passed successfully, we just pack it and ship it to you. Now, just briefing you, how a different rupture disc assembly is this. So first rupture disc you can see on the top left corner is the rupture disc, which can be directly, suitable to fit in between the flanges. This rupture disc are generally required when you have, for the atmospheric tank, when you don't see a high pressure vacuum cycles, or you just want to protect equipment, and rupture disc act like as a primary safety device. Then we see a rupture disc which have a holder or suitable in between the flanges with respect to the holder with holders. So basically these are a more superior product where you have a high pressure vacuum cycles, or you have high pressure requirement, or even for the low pressure requirement. So we basically form into a particular shape, either in forward acting or reverse buckling. And then we also have a solution for the sanitary applications or food applications where a flange connection is not acceptable. And the last is special assemblies which we give for a downhole drilling applications or very high pressure applications where customer cannot have this kind of an assembly. They want a specific a low size application, low size requirement. So it can be vary based on your requirement. Now, as Irfan sir said, there are, rupture disc has been classified mainly into two category. One is the forward acting, which is the first evaluation of the rupture disc. So, the first rupture disc when it developed in 1930s, it was a flat metal sheet, just kept on in between the flanges, and then, they ensured that this can be used as a product, and then evaluation has been started. And then the first rupture disc model came where, all the limitation of the flat metal sheet where we cannot go for the lower pressures and, we cannot play with the pressure ratings can be, has overcome of the flat rupture disc. And then now the second evaluation is a reverse buckling disc where we overcome all the drawbacks. So, the forward acting disc are basically prone to fatigue, it have a lower operating by burst pressure ratios, it have a fragmenting in the nature, as well as, it significantly, it significantly changed with respect to, it affected by the temperature ratings also, and having, a high bandwidth on the burst tolerance side. So all the drawbacks which was there has been, covered up, or we have upgraded into a reverse buckling model. Now I'm just, going to cover, share you how the rupture disc can be installed on the process side. So first, as I told you, the rupture disc can be used as a primary safety device where you have only rupture disc installed, which is, as I told you, mainly you can see in the storage tank applications or moving ISO tank containers. Also you can see a rupture disc installed as a primary safety device. Most important is a secondary safety device. We have seen, you might have seen that you have used safety valve as a primary safety device and the rupture disc as a secondary safety device, where you set up a safety valve at comparatively lower pressure than the rupture disc. So in the emergency condition, if you find any issues with the safety valve, you can use a rupture disc as a secondary safety device. Now, we all are moving towards the zero emissions and, there's no leakage allowed. But we all know that, safety valve have certain part of leakage allowed as per the standard. So, Irfan sir has just referred to API 2000, and there are other standards also, which allow, for example, a safety valve 6 part per million leakage is standard which is allowed. So what if there is a no leakage allowed and you still want to use the safety valve? So you want a zero emission, you want zero leakage, but you still want to use the safety valve. What if your process media is, are toxic, dirty, and there are chances of polymerization that, it can clog your safety valve? And what if you are, you are using a safety valve and it's safeguarding your system, but it's not cost effective or it's not efficient for you? We still have a solution for you. So you can use a rupture disc below the safety valve where you can overcome all your drawbacks. So you are completely isolating your safety valve from, by using a rupture disc, where rupture disc is, primary contact with your process media. So the leakage which was allowed, it can be completely vanished. Because a rupture disc is a 100% leak-proof device, you can eliminate the leakage which was causing through the safety valve. Third thing, whatever the safety valve, we know that we have to do the pop-up test. There are the downtime for you have to plan it, to ensure that it is working fine. That can be eliminated. And the last thing is that if the process media looking for highly corrosive and looking for exotic material, you can eliminate the using a safety valve with the exotic material and use with the standard material, and you can install the rupture disc, which is much cheaper on the side, as in the exotic material. So all these drawbacks which were there, you can simply eliminate by just installing a rupture disc below safety valve. Now the second condition, what if you have a fluctuating back pressure or you have a back pressure condition? You know, a single rupture disc, it cannot be go for a multiple pressure variations or a back pressure variation because it is designed to burst at a differential pressure. So we still have a solution for you. Instead of going with the single rupture disc, you can go with the double disc assembly, where this initial rupture disc will be exposed to your process media, and the second rupture disc are suitable to withstand your variable back pressure. By using this kind of an assembly, you can counter all your issues with respect to the back pressure. So even if you have a variable back pressure, your process will not get disturbed. And if you have a high fluctuation in the back pressure, which can damage other equipments which are in line with the rupture disc, you can ensure that it will not get damaged because of the variable back pressure by using this double disc assembly. This double disc assembly, like the classic example will be the flare connection, where you can see highly fluctuating back pressure. Now, how exactly it works? So basically, when you have no back pressure, and if a rupture disc set to be burst at 10 bar, it will simply burst at 10 bar. Now, if you have a 2 bar as a back pressure, you know the rupture disc which is supposed to burst at 10 bar, it will going to burst at 12 bar. So this all factor you need to consider and ensure that when we are selecting a particular rupture disc with the back pressure condition, it should not exceed the design pressure. So all the factors can be considered prior to selecting the model. Now, one of the critical consideration, and most of you come across, where you have seen and you have complained about a rupture disc with the premature failure. I'm just going to show you a video where how a performance of the rupture disc can affect by simple mishandling. So just have a look on this video. So this is tested by our authorized representative in Europe, ESI group.
Have you looked at the packaging that your rupture disc comes in and
So it
noticed that it's a step up? from
how
all your
a
other
premature
process
failure
equipment and the box is
actually
marked fragile?
caused
We're going to show
a
the
problem
impact
at the
withstanding
bursting of the
can have on
disc.
discs by using a burst disc demonstration rig. Over and over again, this is simply caused by incorrect storage and bad handling during installation. The discs used are rated at 100 psig, and we will burst the first disc, which has been
So
handled
this rupture disc
correctly.
is set at 100 psig, and we are going to do the first testing where we haven't damaged the rupture disc.
As you can see, it bursts at the rated pressure of 100 psig.
So you can see it is bursting at 100 psig.
We then take a second disc and drop it just a small distance onto a bench. In this case, it is possible to see a small indentation to the disc. In some of the previous tests we have carried out, there has been no visible marking on the disc, but the integrity of the disc has still been compromised. As you can see, the mishandled disc bursts at 40 psig.
Now you can see how a
In a
small
real scenario, this early
damage
rupture
which
could
is
come
even
at a
not
critical
visible
stage of
through
the
the naked
process
eyes
and
can
result in
cause using this model. Now, apart from the on the technical side, what is the thing we can offer? So we'll ensure that the rupture disc are tested as per the standard requirement and meeting your meeting all your requirement. We also have a facility to deliver a rupture disc within 24 hours. So in the emergency condition, if you want a rupture disc within the 24 hours, it can be delivered. And the last thing is, all the different countries or different end users also have a different standard to be followed or different specification to be followed. We can comply any of a global requirement which needs to comply for any particular specific application. Now, just quickly jumping on the final thoughts. So rupture discs aren't just a safe, it's essential for the process, even for the overpressure condition, as well as we have a rupture disc which designed to burst for the vacuum conditions. Ensure that your process will be reliable and there will be a continuity with the process. Ensure the zero leakage or zero emissions. Ensure the why to choose a rupture disc. Safety valve will be the primary safety device, but you need a secondary safety device as an insurance. So ensure that, it give a hermetical seal. It will ensure that, you have a polymerization or toxic chemical. It will give you, completely, it will shield your PSV, isolate your PSV and ensure its, upgradation to its life and ensure, a long-term, life of the safety valve. And it will be a cost-effective solution for you. I already explained to you about the HPX model, tested for 5 million cycle, reverse buckling and design, which will meet 90% of your requirements. So this is from my side. If you have any questions, you can let me know.
Thank you, Mr. Nirav. We'll keep the question and answers along with the dinner.
Sure.
Although being the last session, I'm sure this session was quite impactful, and we are certain that its insights will yield lasting benefits to all our attendees here. We offer our most sincere thanks to Mr. Irfan Sheikh and Mr. Nirav Vadgama for their generous contribution of invaluable knowledge and practical experience on the role of overpressure production devices in process optimization. Now it's time to felicitate our distinguished speaker. I'd like to welcome Mr. Mani Arasu to felicitate Mr. Nirav Vadgama with a Ponnadai. I'd like to invite Mr. Suresh Anand to felicitate Mr. Nirav Vadgama with a garland. I'd also like to welcome Mr. Periyasamy to felicitate Mr. Nirav Vadgama with a memento. Thank you, sirs. Thank you.
We once again thank all our sponsors whose continuous support propels the successful journey of TEF. We thank the sponsors of today's event, Growth USA and their local partner KMMC Kuwait. Also, we thank our presenting sponsor Golden Palm Nouri. We thank our platinum sponsors Satco, TransW, Aldora, KUF and Al Arfaj Engineering. We thank our gold sponsor AGTC, PSC, ACME, Mahata Trading, Almulla Exchange, Eagle Bergman and Burgan Bank. We thank our silver sponsors EDAC, GTC, Gulfspeak, Voltec, Saravana Bhavan. We also thank our health partner Shifa Al Jazeera Fahil. Let me invite Engineer Subbu to deliver the vote of thanks.
Good evening, everyone. On behalf of TEF 25 County, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to all of you for being here today and making this event a resounding success. First and foremost, I would like to extend a heartfelt thanks to our distinguished keynote speaker, Mr. Salam Al-Ajmi, former consultant to the Excellency Ministry of MEW, and our guest of honors, Mr. Salah Nasser Al-Jatili, Manager Technical Services, MAA Refinery. Mr. Ahmad Ismail Ali Mohammad Dasti, Manager Maintenance, MAA Refinery. Mr. Sabal Shemari, Director of Golden Palm. Your presence and support have added tremendous value to this event, and we are grateful to your encouragement. Our session speakers today have been exceptional. We appreciate Mr. Konstantin Makarov, Middle East Africa Process Product Manager, Hatch, for his enlightening presentation on industrial water cycle and Hatch online equipment. The depth of your knowledge has greatly contributed to our understanding of this critical aspect of the industry. Similarly, we are thankful to Mr. Irfan Sheikh, Managing Director, and Mr. Nirav Vadgama, Product Manager, Growth and GDC Corporation, for delivering an excellent session on the role of overpressure production devices in process optimization. Your expertise and clarity have been truly appreciated. We are also deeply grateful to our event sponsor KMMC for making this event possible. Your generous support enables STEP to organize impactful events that benefit all our members. A big thank you to all our presenting platinum, gold, and silver sponsors for your unwavering commitment and belief in our mission. We also appreciate the participation of the distinguished guests from the oil and gas and other industries. Lastly, I would like to thank all the defiants for taking the time to join us today. Your participation and enthusiasm are what make this event meaningful, and we hope that you leave here with new knowledge, ideas, and connections. Once again, thank you all for your presence and support. We look forward to seeing you at future events. Thank you.
Thank you, Engineer Subbu. Now it's time for us to have delicious dinner. Bye, and we look forward to seeing you all at much awaited TICE and EEA event on October 9th, 2025. Good night.